Attack on Titan has been over for 3 years now, but there are still plenty of Easter eggs and little curiosities that we're discovering, and I'm sure there's still more to find. So in this video, I'm going through some of the rarer ones. Some I've already covered in my shorts, while others are brand new. And spoiler alert, this video is going to have a lot of spoilers. Attack on Titan 0. In the earliest drafts of Attack on Titan, the protagonist was a girl, the walls were replaced by giant trees, and the Titans were the result of an extermination project created by scientists. These ideas appeared in the Volume 0 one-shot that Hajime Isayama drew for his first publication in 2006. The story follows a girl named Tsubaki, who strongly resembles Gabi. She is an apprentice of Murakumo, a veteran Vanguard soldier who is later revealed to be a Titan very similar to the Eren we know. Titans can take the form of any human they have eaten. Their weak point is not the nape of the neck, but a specific spot inside their bodies called the core, and each Titan has its core in a different location. Instead of walls, the cities were surrounded by giant trees. Titans did not attack the trees for the same reason they did not attack animals. First Titan killed by the scouts. Attack on Titan teaches us that the only way to kill a Titan is to slice the nape of the neck, but it never explained how Eldians discovered this. The answer is on the spin-off manga Before the Fall. During an expedition, the scouts captured a Titan and were trying to learn how to kill it when other Titans started chasing them. ODM gear did not exist at the time, so they were forced to flee. One of the Titans, whom they named Mamam, was close to catching them when a soldier named Sorum, in an attempt to buy time, allowed himself to be grabbed while biting down on a bomb. Sorum struck the Titan's eyes and was thrown onto its back when the bomb exploded, killing Sorum and hitting the Titan's nape. The Titan disappeared on the act, becoming the first Titan to be killed by the scouts. Sasha wasn't supposed to exist. Sasha wasn't originally supposed to exist in Attack on Titan. In fact, her appearance and character concept were originally intended for Ymir, Historia's friend. However, as Isayama developed the story, he decided that Ymir shouldn't be one of the top 10 cadets. This meant he needed another character to fill that role. So Sasha was created using the earlier concept that had originally been intended for Ymir. Interestingly, Isayama has revealed that Sasha's name was inspired by British comedian Sacha Baron Cohen, because he wanted her to serve as a comedic character. Titans inspired on the voice actor. The Titan that ate Marco during the Battle of Trost in Attack on Titan wasn't random. It was designed to resemble the anime's director, Tetsuro Araki, but he wasn't the only member of the production team to be turned into a pure Titan. Eren's voice actor, Yuki Kaji, also appears as a Titan in chapter 81 of the manga. Right behind him, you can even spot Yui Ishikawa, the voice actress who plays Mikasa. Another production member who was turned into a Titan is Marina Inoue. Her Titan appears in chapter 80 as another victim of Levi. She is the voice actress behind Armin. Marcel's original name was Berik. Marcel Galliard's original name was Berik. His name was first revealed in chapter 47, which was originally published in Kodansha magazine. At the time, he was called Berik, but the name was changed to Marcel before the chapters were compiled into manga volumes. So that's why you'll only find his old name in early translations and in the original magazine release. Interestingly, Marcel is a French name that means little warrior. What did he mean by "someone find us"? When the scouts are talking to the warriors for the first time after discovering they were the traitors, Bertholdt says, "Someone find us," which was a very confusing line at the time.
If we were comrades, someone find us!
But what does that even mean? The Japanese phrase "mitsukete kure," translated into English as "find us," was translated correctly in the show. However, it does not reflect the true meaning in Japanese, which is "understand us" or "recognize who we really are." This line reflects one of Attack on Titan's central themes. People on opposite sides of a conflict often understand only the enemy's actions, not the circumstances that created them. Bertholdt wanted someone to see the tragedy of their situation rather than viewing them as simple villains. Grice is Falco's uncle. When Eren is undercover in Marley, he speaks with his grandfather who, without realizing who Eren really is, asks him to stop asking Falco for favors because of the trouble his family has already been through.
Before the Eldian restorationists were caught, that boy's uncle was a leading member.
The uncle he is referring to is Grice, Grisha's closest ally and right-hand man during the Eldian restorationist movement. Although neither the anime nor the manga explicitly states who that uncle is, Grice is known only by his surname, which is the same as Falco Falco and Colts, and they also share a strong physical resemblance. Ymir reading herring in the can when nobody should know what it is. While the scouts are taking shelter inside the ruins of Utgard Castle, Ymir searches for food and comes across a can labeled herring. She then says to Reiner,
This might be good. Herring's not my favorite, but whatever.
Herring, huh?
If Reiner had known what herring was, he would have caught her right on the spot. Instead, he became suspicious because of her ability to read writing from outside the walls. Herring is a saltwater fish, and it couldn't have existed inside the walls because the people there had never seen the sea. Why did Sasha say meat? The last word Sasha says before passing away is meat, but what if she was trying to say something else and nobody realized it? Meat in Japanese is niku, which was correctly translated in both the anime and the manga. The manga even includes the kanji for meat, making it very clear what she said. However, this could be a very clever Easter egg. Niku could also be an abbreviation of Niccolo, the name of the Marleyan cook who fell in love with her. If we combine it with the sentence she said just before meat, it becomes, "Is our food ready yet, Niccolo?" Pixis foreshadowed the end of Attack on Titan in Season 1. At the end of Attack on Titan, Eren transforms into a giant monster determined to wipe out all life beyond the island. As a result, enemies who had been fighting each other for generations finally unite to stop him. Eren deliberately became a common enemy to bring humanity together. But what if that wasn't an idea he came up with on his own? Back in Season 1, Commander Pixis and Eren are walking atop the wall before the mission to retake Trost when Pixis shares an old legend. He says that before the Titans, humans constantly fought among themselves, and that if a powerful, non-human enemy appeared, humanity would probably unite and stop fighting itself. Eren foreshadowed as the villain twice in Season 1. From the very first chapters, we were already given hints that we were witnessing the origin story of the villain of Attack on Titan, but we were too attached to Eren to realize it. In episode 25, when Eren and Annie are fighting in the Stohess district, Eren says this at the peak of his rage.
Die! All of you! Everything!
The same scene is even more haunting in Japanese. But Eren becoming the enemy was foreshadowed much earlier in episode 4 when Reiner and Eren were still training together as cadets. Mikasa's last line in the show was also her first. When Eren and Mikasa meet in a shared experience inside the paths, Eren confirms that he truly loved her. The cabin is Eren's final farewell, a vision of the peaceful life they could have chosen, even though both knew it was no longer possible. The scene ends with Mikasa saying,
I'll see you later, Eren.
Those were the last words she ever said to him in the show. But what's most intriguing is that they were also the first words she ever said to him in chapter 1 of the manga. Armin's Colossal Titan was foreshadowed in the opening. In the second opening of Season 3, there's a quick sequence of images that shows the Colossal Titan's face before immediately cutting to Armin waking up from a dream. On its own, that might not mean much, but the very next shot, which is only visible if you pause it, shows him completely burned, foreshadowing his fate in the Return to Shiganshina arc.
Really, Armin? This is how you want it to end?
This brief scene appears at the 103 mark. Interestingly, Armin makes his first appearance as the Colossal Titan in chapter 103 of the manga. The memes of Attack on Titan. If there's one thing Hajime Isayama really likes to do, it's recreate memes in his work.
Once we're home, try telling Annie how you really feel.
What's that supposed to mean?
You may have never noticed it before, but over the years, several memes have been recreated in one way or another throughout the story. For example, there's this boy who's quietly hidden in the background of chapter 94 of the manga. But what's even more interesting is that Isayama didn't stop there. He also recreated memes outside the story itself, like on magazine covers. Paradis Island is Madagascar. One of the biggest theories among Attack on Titan fans is that Paradis Island is actually the real-world island of Madagascar, located off the east coast of Africa. But is there any truth to this theory? All the maps of Paradis and Marley shown in the anime are very vague and difficult to compare to a real-world map. But the answer comes in chapter 93 of the manga, where Marleyan officers and warriors discuss war strategies. We get a very detailed version of the world map, where we can see Marley and other nations occupying a vast vast amount of land, while Paradis is literally just a small island. Even though the map doesn't look anything like Africa or Madagascar, when we flip it upside down, it becomes clear where the theory came from. The reason Sasha couldn't kill a Titan with an axe. When Sasha tried to kill the Titan that was slowly eating a woman's leg in Season 2, she struck its nape several times with an axe, but the wounds healed faster than she could damage it.
If I don't cut it off, it'll just keep healing!
But why couldn't she kill it after all the training she had received? The problem wasn't Sasha, it was the axe. Titan skin can only be cut with weapons made from iron bamboo, and her axe was made of ordinary iron for chopping wood. Luckily, she managed to hit the Titan's eyes with her arrows. Since the eyes are more vulnerable than the skin, she was able to blind it and escape with the girl. How the warriors knew when to meet Marley at the docks. How did the warriors know the exact dates when Marleyan ships would dock on Paradis? The warriors had no way to communicate with Marley after reaching Paradis, but they already knew the planned schedule of the reconnaissance ships before they left. That's why they knew when to return to the docks to deliver Ymir or receive reinforcements. The anime never gives the exact answer, but it hints at it subtly. All the warriors had to do was look at the sky. The explanation is once again found in the manga. Marleyan ships travel to Paradis 12 times a year, always docking during the full moon. What if Titans? Can you imagine what our beloved scouts would look like as Titan shifters? At the end of Volume 11, Isayama drew something pretty funny. In the scene, Mikasa, Jean, Armin, Historia, and Connie transform into Titans. Mikasa becomes a muscular Titan that looks a lot like Eren's. Jean's Titan looks very similar to the one from Sasha's episode, which many people claim is Connie's father. Armin has an oversized head, making him look like a bobblehead. Historia looks like a giant angel with those wings, and Connie turns into a baby Titan. Armin's twin sister. Have you ever noticed that there is a character who looks so much like Armin that she could pass as his twin sister? That character is Nifa. The two are almost identical, even though they are not related. In fact, Hajime Isayama made them look so similar by accident and did not notice it at first. The resemblance is even clearer in the manga. Without the different hair and eye colors from the anime, it can be hard to tell them apart. Ever since I was a kid, I've hated you. One of the moments that caused the most anger and outrage in the Attack on Titan community was when Eren started insulting Mikasa.
Believe me when I say this, Mikasa. Ever since I was a kid, I've hated you.
The scene was so intense that it made her cry. As we later learn, this was only an act by Eren to push his friends away. But the scene also foreshadowed how painful it was for him. After insulting Mikasa and beating Armin, Eren turned around one last time before leaving the room. He spoke to them in a threatening tone, but with tears in his eyes. The invention of the ODM gear. The ODM gear is the signature weapon and maneuvering system of Attack on Titan, but the show never explained how it was invented. Its origin story is explained in the spin-off manga Before the Fall. 70 years before the fall of Shiganshina, the scouts finally learned how to kill a Titan, but they discovered another problem. It was very hard to get up there and reach the nape. That's when the young engineer Angel Altanen came up with the idea of the device, using grappling hooks fired like pistols to pull the user upward, mostly with vertical movement only. But it was very heavy, unstable, and impractical in combat. 15 years later, after many failures and prototypes, the device was improved by Xenophon Harkamo. He reduced its weight, added dual grappling anchors for better control, introduced gas propulsion systems for speed and maneuverability, and integrated blade storage and combat usability, creating something that resembled the ODM gear we know today. The mysterious figures in the background. Remember that scene where Eren tried to punch Mikasa in his Titan form during the Trost arc in Season 1?
Eren?
If you look very closely at this scene in the manga, you can actually see two figures standing outside one of the windows in the background. Since all civilians and soldiers had already been evacuated from Trost at that point in the story, these figures may actually be Eren and Zeke as they wandered through the paths in Season 4. The Campanula flower. When Eren, Armin, and Mikasa were about to be executed by the garrison, Eren transformed into a Titan and blocked the cannonball. But why did the camera quickly focus on the purple flower on the ground during that scene?
Those flowers weren't there before. How did they?
Eren protected the people he loves most, and Armin quickly realized it after seeing the flower on the ground. The same flower appears in several other scenes throughout the series. It is called Campanula and symbolizes gratitude, eternal love, and protection. Bertholdt's strange sleeping position. Did you notice that Bertholdt is often shown sleeping in a tightly curled position, hugging himself from behind?
The positions you could sleep in were an art form, Bertholdt.
The position is commonly associated with anxiety, insecurity, and a desire for comfort. This fits Bertholdt's personality, as he is quiet, timid, and emotionally conflicted. But what's most intriguing is that in medieval Europe, especially in Italy, traitors were depicted hanging upside down with their hands bound behind their backs in public paintings known as pittura infamante. This symbolic punishment was reserved for betrayers, political traitors, and dishonorable figures.
We're monsters. We deserve to die for the things we've done.
Levi's last words to Hange. When Hange sacrificed herself to buy time for her comrades to repair and launch the airship, everyone mourned her death and admired her bravery. But Levi, already accustomed to losing his comrades throughout the series, said to himself,
"See you around, Hange. Just watch us."
But why did he say that particular phrase? The reason is that when they first met in the manga, Hanji's first words were, "I was watching you," after seeing him kill his first Titan. When Mikasa got a tattoo in her wrist. When Mikasa meets Kiyomiya Zumabito for the first time, she is presented with a crest that is exactly the same as the family symbol tattooed on her arm.
But Mom told me that I should keep it a secret.
But when did she get such a mark? It happened minutes before the tragic events involving her parents in their own home. In the anime, Mikasa's mother celebrates her first embroidery and tells her to pass it on to her own children, which makes Mikasa curious about how children are made.
I don't understand. How can I have children?
But this is a change from the source material. In the manga, there is no embroidery. Instead, Mikasa receives her family crest tattoo on her right arm and is told to pass it on to her children, which is why she asks her father such a funny question. Levi's cold farewell to Annie. In the emotional scene where everyone is waving goodbye to Annie as she leaves the group, Levi remains silent and serious, not taking part in the farewell. Jean also does not seem happy in the scene. The reason goes back to Season 1, when Annie's actions as the female Titan led to the deaths of Levi's entire squad. She also removed Marco's gear, leaving him defenseless, which was a key factor in his death. For Levi and Jean, these events left lasting scars, making it difficult for them to fully forgive her even as they work toward a common goal. Gabi's mental cage. Did you notice this subtle detail in the Attack on Titan anime?
There were never any devils on this island, just people.
During the Marley attack on Shiganshina, Gabi realized that Marley had been lying to her and to the other Eldians living there. They had been told that the people of Paradis were nothing but devils. In this scene, there are cages hanging everywhere, but one of them is on the floor with its door open. This represents that Gabi has finally broken free from her mental cage and realized that she had been brainwashed by Marley. This is a small detail that was not present in the manga. Moses Braun. In the very first episode, the scouts returned defeated from an expedition and hand a grieving mother the remains of her son's hand, saying it belonged to a soldier named Moses.
Moses! Moses!
However, in the manga, that soldier was identified only as Braun, the same last name as Reiner. The two even share blonde hair and similar facial features. Despite that, there is no evidence in the story that the two were related. The series never suggests any connection between them, and the shared surname was most likely a coincidence rather than an intentional reveal. To avoid confusion or what may have seemed like early foreshadowing, the anime changed his name to Moses, and fans have referred to him as Moses Braun ever since. What happened to the bullies? When we meet Armin for the first time, he's being bullied by a group of kids.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm a sore loser!
But what actually happened to them? They seem to just disappear off the face of the earth and are only shown again in flashbacks later in the story. In the past, Isayama has stated that he hates bullying, so naturally, he wanted to give them a proper ending.
Just like...
When the Colossal Titan kicks down the wall in the first episode, you can see them being crushed by a massive boulder.